Court will come to order. It is Thursday, May the 29th, 2025. It's 9 o'clock in the morning, and the Commissioners' Court is now in session in a budget workshop. And I'm going to start with asking Corey Tennis to announce how we're going to record this.
So there's a mandate coming down in April of next year about website accessibility. And part of that mandate includes closed captioning. So within our systems, we are testing out the functionality of how we can do that. So we'll be using the budget workshops for that process, for the test bed, instead of actually doing it on the Commissioners' Court's days. So the reason why I'm trying to preface this is because we may have glitches or crashes in the software, so there might be restarts of our software, but that should not hamper the workshop proceedings. So we're hoping here over the course of the next 2 or 3 workshop meetings, we'll get all the testing and bugs worked out, but I just wanted to get that out to the public now.
Okay. And Mr. Whirling, let me introduce, this is Stephen Whirling. He's done the salary study for Kerr County, and he's got a presentation and also his report.
Okay. Well,
Everybody's interested in this.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, to start, we started this we sent out information, requesting information last fall to update the pay system. It hasn't been updated, I think, since 2019. It's been updated annually in your process of increasing the pay ranges every year. But as far as doing a study, you haven't done a study since 19. So when we do these studies, we want to focus on the objectives, which are to meet the organization's objectives, to be financially, make good financial decisions. This tends to be one of the largest line items in most organizations, so we're very careful about that. We want to standardize a process. Some of the recommendations are based on the current pay system, and then recommendations, to make some adjustments for next year in the process. We did a market study. I sent out, we got data back from 20 organizations, 16 counties, 15 counties, and 3 cities. So they're in the local area. We also used data from the San Antonio Area Wage and Benefit Survey. You're close enough that it impacts the wages a little bit, especially if we have a job where we don't have other data. The San Antonio survey includes municipalities, so we can get some information on the police officers and some of the street people and so on. We also used Economic Research Institute for some from unique jobs, and the San Antonio Nonprofit Survey for some unique jobs like the grant administrator. So I think we've got a good set of data. We don't have data for all the jobs. There are unique positions in organizations. So we don't have data for all the jobs, but I think that we're in pretty good shape. When we did the analysis, first thing we found was, and it's a nice situation to be in, you guys are in better shape than most of my clients. Your average wages, your average midpoints of your pay grades are about 30% above the market data. So whatever happened in 19, as you've been moving the pay structure up, you've been making adjustments that are higher than wage inflation for most of the jobs. So that's a good situation to be in. That means you've been keeping up for the most part, okay? But the current system has some problems. Your current system's a step system. The only people using that today are government entities. And even most of the government entities have stopped using them. Okay, I like them because they give structure to the process, so that employees can anticipate what's going to happen and when they get pay raises and so on. The difficulty in the way they're managed is they don't reflect the marketplace very well over time. So as we move the structure up, we have some jobs that have low wage inflation, so we tend to overpay them. And we have other jobs with high wage inflation, and we tend to underpay the high wage inflation people and overpay the ones with low wage inflation. The administrative positions that are county-driven tend to have lower inflation than the jobs like the deputies. Over the past 5 years, it's been deputies and road, and you guys don't have water people, but the road and water and the deputies that have had the highest inflation. Okay. So in that case, I think that the Sheriff's Department has done a good job of keeping up with the market data and the adjustments and so on. On the other hand, the road jobs, you know, you're behind on them because the market's just moving faster than general inflation. You give increases, typically on a step system, people give step increases every year. You give them every other year. The one unique thing that you have that causes a problem, your total range is 100%. Okay? So if I start at 40, the top pays 80. That's a broader range than any client that I have. The advantage of it is at the top end, if we have longer term employees, they're not capped out or frozen. Okay? The bad part of it is it also lowers the bottom. So you can't recruit people for the number on the structure. That's why in your process, you typically pay, you know, anywhere from pay grade 1 to pay grade 3. The Sheriff's Department pays, I think, pay grade 7. Okay? Because you have to adapt the pay structure to the marketplace. So when I look at things, first of all, the midpoint of your pay structure is pay grade 14. I matched the data to 10 when I did the recommendations. Because of that broad range, it just causes problems. So I try to adapt to that. We set up classifications. We assign jobs to the pay grade with the closest midpoint to the salary survey. Okay? And then the other thing we did is we maintained the current pay grade. So I didn't lower anything. You know, when we have something in place to start lowering things, I think is, especially with wages, it just, you know, it doesn't work very well. I've only decreased pay grades or wages, I think, in 2 organizations over 40 years. We just don't do that very often because the salary surveys aren't perfect. So we ended up with, on the one slide, on slide 6, we ended up with 11 jobs that were paid under the market. 4 of them are road maintenance. Okay. I was a little more aggressive on those because right now you have 5 openings and your current employees have less than, there's only one with more than 3 years of tenure. Okay. So those 2 things combined said, you know, we're underpaying that area. Court coordinator, court administrator, an IT person. So it was kind of odds and end jobs except for road. So you're in good shape there. Okay. Now, when I did the individual analysis, your average pay is about 10% above the market. And the reason for that is that broad range and the adaptation you've made because of that. And some long-term employees. I usually expect plus or minus 5. So you're not that far off. When I do my new study and make my recommendations on the pay grade, we're closer to the market. We're at 1, so we're in good shape. And the report you have has all the data attached to it. Now, to let you know, I haven't talked to anybody in the organization except the judge, HR, and the auditor. Okay? When I do my work, I get close, but there's internal information I don't know, so I expect things to change a little bit. When I talk to HR and the auditor, it's typically, I need to clean up this relationship, I missed something, okay? So they gave me, I think, 18 different comments, no recommendations about pay grades. They didn't say, we want this moved to a given pay grade. They just said, look at this again. And when I did that, I changed 11 out of the 180 some job titles you have. but most of it was just cleanup. These two jobs are very similar. These are a little bit different. Okay? Now, before we make any final decisions, you know, I need to have it reviewed. We need to have it reviewed by some of the department heads to make sure that my information's accurate. Okay? Not to get in the details of somebody saying, I do these 5 things that nobody else does. It's not that. It's that you've missed the point, the relationships are a little bit different, something like that. But you guys you're in really good shape. It has the market data in there from the salary survey. The report also has the information about the pay grade assignments. It's got information about individuals. It shows, for example, the pay increases that people need for the step increase next year and to adjust for the pay grade assignments. I couldn't make the computations because I really couldn't follow through with all with the computation sheet that you guys have, so I just put in the percentages. And they'll change a little bit anyhow as we go through, okay? But the good news is I don't think you have much extra cost involved in adjusting your pay this year other than what you normally do. Okay, so I don't think there's any surprises. The 11 jobs won't cost that much to readjust the people. So I think like I said, I think you're in pretty good shape for this year. Okay. Now I know the report has a lot of individual detail. I normally don't talk about that at individual pay at public meetings. So it's whatever you guys want to talk about. Okay.
Any questions?
Maybe just one comment and a question. The review you said by department heads. Are you also going to have elected officials?
Yeah,
review
it's
that as
whoever you
well?
tell me. You know your organization, you guys know your organization. I can't say who should review it. That's your call.
I think it would be important. We did have one concern from an elected official that they weren't individually interviewed by you. I understand you chose to do 3 so far, the judge, HR, and the auditor, and do wide sampling, which I appreciate because you can look at a lot of data very quickly that way instead of individual elected official interviews. But I think it would be important to get their comment, to have them involved so they feel like they're part of the solution and that their voice is heard.
Oh, sure. I mean, part of the reason that I didn't talk to people is that I didn't want any perception, and I'm not accusing, but this happens, where somebody says, well, you're a consultant, you changed the number, could you talk to this person? I really didn't want to do, I purposely didn't talk to people, except to clean up some things where it was kind of obvious. I had one job listed as a chief deputy. It was a floating justice of the peace. It was a floating clerk, not the JP. It was little things like that I cleaned up with HR and the auditor. But I would expect to talk to, to whoever you tell me.
In my discretion.
He just brought us the results.
Yeah.
No, I get it. In the federal system, they do still use
Oh,
step
sure.
and grade, probably the largest group that still does that. And
Oh.
in that, I was used to a quality step increase where we could sit down on a board like this and give somebody more than one step.
Sure.
But it was like you held that really, really close. It was a very competitive board.
Sure.
Do you see anything like that available within your recommendation?
I mean, if you want to, understand, if you want to keep the current step system and it works for you, I think the steps themselves can work out. I think making the adjustment to the entire structure causes problems. And I think the 100% range causes problems. Okay, you're not using them all anyhow, but okay, I think those two things cause problems. But yeah, the federal government has a step system, and I think they have to, because of the size of the government, the number of jobs they have, and so on. But even in the federal government, we do salary surveys that we collect data from some of the government entities, and some of their wages are higher than anything else we see. Because of the step system, because of the broad bands and the broad ranges they put in years ago, things like that. Okay?
Yeah, I'm definitely open to a different type
Yeah,
of system because
but-
of what you just said and
Yeah,
my
but
previous experience.
If we go away from the step system, we've got to be careful. Most organizations, when they go away from a step system, they say, here's the range, and they don't have any guidelines around it. So it's pretty much do whatever you want. And it just opens up to all kind of inefficiencies and inequities. What I developed back in the late 90s was a mathematical formula that mirrors part of the step system, but also has some extra stuff. So you type in the work, you type in their previous work history, give them credit for previous experience, give the people credit for time on the job, performance, certifications, whatever the organization pre-identifies, and it computes a pay number for the individual, which takes the logic of the step system and just expands it out. Okay? So if you go away from the step system, you need to put something like that in place. Now it still has discretion, to your point, having the committee where they could say one step, maybe two. We still have to put some discretion in there because models aren't perfect. They don't capture everything. So we can put discretion in there, and if there's a separate column, you can monitor it, and that there has to be justification and so on. So I think for the future, I think that would be something, but to consider. But I think that takes a little bit more time than during the budget process.
Okay, thank you.
And to put it in context, he did his salary survey and brought it to us and showed what was above market, what was at market, what was below market, and it was not based on a step and grade. And I asked him to convert his findings to step and grade because we don't have time between now and when we have to adopt this budget to change the step and grade system that you're chairing that committee. And so this whole thing was converted to be step and grade for this year's budget, but with your committee to go forward on what we're going to do next year.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? You might share a little bit of your background. They don't know who you are.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let's see.
Your name is Steve.
My name's Steve Whirling. I thought you guys know who okay, so.
I know who
He does, yeah.
I've had two careers that fit to this. I spent 45 years in academics, 22 years teaching HR and teaching this at UTSA. I retired in 19. Starting in 93, I started consulting. I started my consulting business. So since 93, I've been consulting full-time, and 95% of my work is compensation. I quit counting at about 300 clients. So right now, I have about a half a dozen small municipalities in the San Antonio area that I do. This year, I've got a client in Alaska. They're my longest continuous client from 2001. So we're upgrading their pay system up there. A lot of the work I do is nonprofit organizations. We do the salaries. We do the only salary survey for a city in the state of Texas. We do a San Antonio survey, a nonprofit survey. We do a state healthcare survey, and then every other year we do a nonprofit survey for United Way Houston. So my whole career has been compensation and doing this. And so the things that I talk about fairness, consistency, efficiency, I've been in organizations where they called me after a consultant came in and they made all kind of financial changes, which people were happy with, and then the next year they've got problems because they can't meet budget. So I'm very sensitive to budget issues, but I'm just a numbers guy. None of this is, I can talk to the, if I have HR director data, I can talk to the HR director about it because it's just a mathematical formula to me. And that makes it a little bit easier when we're trying to work through things, yeah, I've been doing it a long time, okay?
Thank you.
Well, I was impressed with the databases that you have access to.
Yeah, I mean, the big boys, the big companies have access to a lot more databases than I do. But I don't think we don't need a lot more. That county survey we did, I'm starting to do a survey of river authorities and aquifer authorities. And it's the same thing. That's more useful to us than a statewide survey or a national survey that we convert. The conversions they're close, but they're not great. So I think having that Kerr County survey is important. The other thing that I do in my consulting is, and it's my academic side, I don't think you should wait 5 years or 6 years in between studies. Things are moving too quickly today. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, that would have worked. Today, I think organizations should do them every other year. Now, that's not trying to get more work for me. When I get done with this, you'll get my report, you'll get the recommendations, you'll get my either Excel or Access program that lets the county do all of this, okay? And then to do the survey, it's just open records if you need to, but and we'll give you the format for doing the study. So you can do the study in-house.
How much influence has the last 4 years of the economy, the way it's changed, how much influence has that had on your study?
Two things have happened. I think COVID sped things up, okay? My generation was going to retire anyhow, eventually. COVID just sped that up. I didn't plan on retiring from UTSA, at that point, but the timing was right. So I think, and that was right before COVID, but I think COVID sped things up. The other thing that happens is more generational. The jobs that are inflating are jobs where the colleges aren't preparing enough people, okay? With COVID, the jobs that were inflating more rapidly either are high technical or jobs where it took direct relationship with people. The deputies are a good example. That requires direct contact, constant vigilance, awareness, and it's not, well, I'll work from home and maybe I'll work for this hour. I'll get my 8 hours in over the day, okay? But the jobs that require constant awareness and so on, those are getting harder to fill, okay? The other thing that's happening is all the trades. My generation, there were a lot of people in our generations that were tradesmen. We kept pushing, we had a generation we were pushing college so much, we forgot about the trades, okay? Mm-hmm. And I have clients who, I have a client in Houston, they're willing to pay $50 an hour for a welder with 2 years experience. And all the overtime you want. You can make six figures being a welder, okay? There's such a shortage of skilled workers. And you're seeing that with with the road crew, with the maintenance workers, some jobs like that. On the other side, we're starting to see a change with IT, where there's just a lot of openings, because after Y2K, everybody flooded into IT. Now there's a lot of IT people out there, more than the market. And I don't see it changing. I don't think we're not pushing the trades enough to where we're gonna fix the shortages. So there's just a mismatch.
And because of that, we're gonna have to pay those more.
Right.
Right.
And then we had the bottom end where we were paying, and I still see it, relatively low wages. I've never been a fan of living wage, guaranteeing a certain wage to somebody, But on the other hand, there is a wage I have to pay to be competitive. If I can drive up and down the street and see $15, $16 an hour at fast food, that kind of puts a floor on what we can pay. So we've seen the bottom end jobs increasing more rapidly than some of the others.
Right.
Okay? But yeah, I think the dynamics changed. In the old days, it was you'd be lucky you had a job. Today, you should be lucky I want to work for you, because I can go somewhere else. If I'm a police officer, I can find a job within a couple days. Okay, so you have to take care of the deputies. I think the road workers, this is tough. We forget. I think as we get older and if we're professionals, we forget what it's like. I remember high school, working the fields one summer, and working in a factory one summer. We have to remember that, because then when we talk about the wages for the road people, these are people that work in heavy labor out in 100 and some degree heat. And I think we have to respect that. And sometimes we forget about that when we're doing these things, okay? So I just look at the numbers and say, well, if you're losing people, we need to raise the wages. And I don't care who they are, but it's just a process of, we've got to get the work done and provide the services to the community without busting the budget.
Right,
you know.
I appreciate that.
Okay, anything else? Well, thank you very much for coming to talk to us.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And give us something to work with. Okay. Now let's go to the county court at law, top of the list. Oh, and I forgot.
Morning.
What tab is that? I don't have my index.
427.
427?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Got tab 427 and 428. You may proceed.
All right, good morning, Susan Harris. I'm here for County Court at Law. And we have, Susan and Kelly and I have no change for our budget.
Excellent.
So I just wanted to say thank you for all you do and ask permission to be excused and go back to work.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
We appreciate you.
Okay. So now we would go to treasurer. And I lost my-
497.
497. Yes, ma'am.
I
Yeah,
didn't
497.
have big changes in my operational budget. Looks like it might be just under 2% increase. My special request for increasing one of my employees' salaries was the bigger part.
And that's reflected on our special request schedule.
Yes, sir. And I did give a letter to each of you, or to you. Hopefully it's been distributed to you guys. But as a supplement to the written request previously submitted, I would like to formally highlight the scope and significance of my employee's role in the treasurer's office, particularly regarding her responsibility for county payroll. She manages the processing of approximately 230 employees, which accounts for approximately $30 million annually in payroll, which is about 48% of the county's budget. So it's a highly sensitive and critical function that demands precision and accountability, and she has consistently performed this role with exceptional accuracy and reliability. So my requested salary adjustment would impact the budget modestly, about $5,700, including roll-ups, and more importantly, would ensure her compensation is appropriately aligned with the value and scope of the work she performs, and would acknowledge her significant contribution to the county's financial operations.
Okay, any questions?
One, Tracy, if you don't mind,
Yes, sir.
conferences. How many people out of your department go to conferences?
Well, I have a fairly new staff, and so I hadn't been taking them to in-person conferences. They've been doing online trainings, but I am gonna start having them go to conferences now that I feel comfortable with different people being out of the office and being a little short-staffed.
The only reason I question it or ask you about it is, it seems high compared to, well, I'm comparing to Commissioner's Court, you know, the 5 of us, and it seems like a lot, but thank you.
Okay. Nothing else? Thank you.
You're welcome. Do you want, I'm not the next one, unclaimed capital credits, but I guess if you wanted to talk about Shriner Road Trust, you could skip to that, or I can sit and come back up.
No, let's go ahead and keep you up there.
Okay.
Fund 71.
So I don't have a lot to say about this. I think we're still really in the midst of trying to build that fund back up so that it can be used, and it can only be used by precincts 1 and 4 on certain roads that historically led from their ranch property into town. So I'm doing what I can to build that up so it can be used at some point.
Okay,
Okay.
looks good.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, next
Were
one
you gonna
is,
try and
Pardon?
do something with Dawn?
oh, Dawn, okay. Right. District Clerk,
450.
450.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. I think I haven't had the privilege of meeting the two new commissioners on the court, so I felt like I should give a little brief history of our office and what we do. Basically, we handle all the criminal civil dockets within Kerr County as well as county court at law. Not the misdemeanors, just the civil process. As of this fiscal year, my office has processed over 514 civil and family cases, as well as over 538 criminal docket cases. So that's a lot of criminal cases, a lot of civil cases that run through our office that each of the clerks have to touch on a daily basis. Other things we handle are jury trials. We've had 7 jury trials this fiscal year, lasting anywhere from 2 to 2 weeks. Just depends on the docket, if it's a civil or criminal docket. Again, each one of my staff has a hand in those jury trials. We assist all the other departments with their jury trials as well. So as far as things go, we process passports. We processed 280 passports today, and which brings in quite a bit of revenue for the county as well. And as of today, I've looked, and our collections within the county for everybody that we collect for, as well as the state comptroller, we've collected over $3,039,505.45 that runs through my office, including restitutions and anything held in the registries of the court. So our office, like the other offices that handle a lot of money, my clerks are responsible for lots of money running through that office as well. So with that being said, with my fund of 450, my district clerk fund, the only line items I've requested a 1.75% increase. Basically, that is in my postage. The only extra thing I have added in that I've never had before in my line item is overtime. When we work these jury trials, staff has to stay behind, which is to the point where they accrue a lot of comp time. My staff, it's hard for them to take off because we do have a lot of criminal trials and, not criminal trials, court dates where everybody's needs to be there. Matter of fact, we have one today. And it takes us all to process stuff. So with that being said, we are here starting at 7:30 in the morning, and sometimes we don't leave till 10, 11 o'clock at night when we have jury trials. So I think it's fair to compensate those ones that stay late, monetary-wise, because it's hard for them to take off comp time and keep up with their vacation so they don't lose it. Past that, the only other item I left in my budget is the bonds and insurance. My term ends of next year. Elections are coming up. I haven't decided what I'm doing yet. I'm not running. So if I choose to leave, I want to make sure that whoever comes into my office will be able to have the bond and the money to slide into my office without any waiting or anything to that extent.
Do you have, 8 employees?
I have, there's 10 that but
10.
currently I have 8 with me. Right now I'm down 2 because they've left for money. I get them in and they leave for money, so.
Okay.
Or the work is too much, is what I've been told. The ones that I've left the past 2 times, it's way too much and they can't handle the stress of the job.
Any other questions?
Yeah, if you had 10 employees, would you still need the overtime?
I'm gonna
Are the-
dedicate that to my jury trials, because that's the hardest time to get people to stay to work, because like everybody else, they have things to do once they're off the clock, so
Right.
it
From
won't
the
be used.
ADAs and the judges that briefed us in recent training, doesn't happen very often for actual jury trials, according to them. So we can kind of understand how much overtime that would be. What do you project as far as the current docket that would be overtime requirements? 5% is what they were saying, normally go to trial. That's a very low number.
It is, but those ones that do go to trial, we've had some that lasted 2 weeks, and they pretty much work 8 to 5 every day. However, but when you go into deliberation, I've been there till 1 o'clock in the morning. So you're staying from 7:30 in the morning till 1 o'clock in the morning. And I try to do it myself. I try not to have staff, that way I'm not having to pay for it, but, you know, I can't do everything myself. You got staff working for you, so we gotta integrate those in. They gotta learn how to do it as well.
But a very close family member of mine recently was a jury foreman, Ford lady. And the average seems to be trying to, at least the judges try to get people home
Correct.
and have it conclude, try to get people home by dinner and then have it conclude during a week period. Would you characterize that as accurate from what they were saying? Try to capture a jury trial within a week?
If it's civil, absolutely. If it's criminal, they will continue until, you know, we don't know on criminal. I mean, they have so many extra experts that come in, they have to accommodate their schedules towards that. So, I mean, yes, no. I mean, you could have one, you walk in and you're ready to go to trial and they're in front of the judge and they pled. So you've already paid all your jurors to come in and then you're done because they've decided they don't want to go to trial. So it varies. It just depends on what type of case you have.
And I understand a civil case is very rare to come to trial, where criminal could be a little bit more. Just trying to predict how much overtime is difficult.
It
I don't want
is.
to draw this out, but trying to understand it more from your perspective.
And that's okay. I mean, if y'all choose not to, I'll give comp time, and at the end of the budget year, I still have to pay that comp time out. I was just trying to make this more of a perk where I can get more employees to say, hey, I'll stay with you, or, but if the court chooses not to do that, that's perfectly acceptable to me.
On y'all's conferences, you said cut budget last year, constraints on not being able to send employees to conference, increase to original amount. Do all your employees, are they required to go to conferences?
I send all my employees because the
Yeah.
legislature updates every year, and this year's a
Right.
legislature update, and affects what
Okay.
we do in our office according to statute.
Okay,
They're just short of being a legal assistant without being able to
right,
give.
right, yeah.
But I do, I make sure at least every staff member in my office attends conference, and with travel, we don't have a car, so like the previous elected official said, it costs money, it's not free. And we don't have a good car to drive, so they have to drive a car, they
There's a
get
little white
mileage.
one sitting out here.
I mean, one of my employees took it to San Antonio to get fingerprinted, there's 2 of them that went.
Right,
And one wouldn't sit in the front seat, so that's telling you
right.
Hope it wasn't the driver.
that's not fair. Well, no, the driver drove, but the other one, but, you know, that's not fair for me to send my staff in a county vehicle that I can't even get them to San Antonio in.
Right.
So those all are costs. But luckily, I'm able to get reimbursed when I go, which helps me fund the rest of my staff
Yeah, and the
to
reason I
go.
was asking, I didn't, because I wasn't sure if it was you that were required to attend conferences.
I'm
or-
required to get
or-
20
or-
hours a
Or all
year.
of your staff included, I didn't know, so,
Yes.
okay.
Okay, and let's see. We'll talk to jury. And district records management.
Is that Fund 33? Oh, is that the one you want first?
434? Yeah, let's do that one first.
Jury,
434. It's the same.
well, the fees have gone up, but,
Fees have gone up because we have some trials coming up, and I'm not sure next year. We're hoping to get some of them cleaned out, but as, you could probably ask the treasurer, because last year I think we had to do budget amendment, didn't we? Or got close to it for fees.
I don't remember if we did a budget amendment, but we always come pretty close to spending the whole thing. And last session, they increased the amount we can pay to jurors.
Yes.
So we do pay a lot more.
Normally, we summons 80 individuals at a time, but when it's larger cases, we summons anywhere up to 100 to 125, so that just means that's more coming out of the, and we have to pay everybody that shows up.
Okay, anything else on jury? Let's go to Fund 33, District Records Management.
Let's see what I did. I had some.
That appears to be line.
I believe this is the one that I'm requesting a stipend, and I sent letters to the judge, the auditor, and the human resources. This is a dedicated fund. It's money that I collect in my office for records preservations. I've been sending stuff out, but because we're trying to go to completely paperless, and with the help of IT, it's been wonderful, so I'm really excited about when we go to the new Navigator system, because a lot of things will be integrated. However, I'm still trying to get my old documents into the case management system. Last year, I spent around $20,000 to get some discs uploaded from my other records. I'm still waiting to get that put into the case management system, but I have staff that in our downtime, we can get those old records done ourselves. So with that being said, I'm requesting that my staff get a stipend instead of paying someone outside of the county to preserve my records, because they're doing it on a daily basis anyways, and during that downtime every day when we have some clerks will be dedicated more to it than others, but I'm trying to get all those records uploaded, and that way they're accessible to the public. And I do know that out of dedicated funds, we are allowed to pay our staff for that, to preserve records. And I included my account balance in there. I did have assistance from HR. They gave me what it's gonna cost with all the roll-ups. So I think I'm well within my budget of allowing this to happen, and as well as it's a yearly basis. It's not forever. When the money goes away, the stipend goes away. So I'm hoping within a couple of years, we can have all these records uploaded into the system.
So what you're proposing is a $3,000 stipend per staff member
Correct.
to be paid from Fund 33?
Yes, sir. My dedicated money for records preservation.
And so that the people at home understand, that means that that dedicated fund is being used, and so the taxpayer dollars are not going to pay that stipend.
Correct. Those are funds that I collect
Right.
on every document that, on a fee for every document that we file within the court system, and that's used to preserve our records.
And the expenditure of the funds and the monies in that Fund 33
Yes, sir.
is for the district clerk.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And the money that would normally go into Fund 33 would be used for what?
It can only be used for district clerk.
It goes in it keeps going
It's
in the
not
fund.
county
The
money.
general, okay.
Yes. In the past, prior to me, a district clerk, and I'm sure that the county clerk does this, she has records preservation as well. She pays employees out of it. Where I'm choosing to get my records updated and all my employees working on it, she has probably several employees that are supposed to focus 100% on that, because that's what that money is dedicated for. I just don't feel like I can hire an employee to dedicate that 100% to do that, because that's all you're really supposed to be doing. A stipend, I think, is feasible where they can, throughout the year, make sure it gets done.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you. Thank you. Going back to the top of the list that we haven't called,
I think I have another one.
Yeah,
which ones? Oh, the,
yeah. The library and the clerk tech fund.
The only thing, I don't know if you want to do the library next.
That's on our list.
yeah,
Go
let's
ahead.
Let's go with
The only
fund.
thing I have in there is what I pay that I'm doing and update, keeping the law library updated. This is a new legislature year, so I'm sure the judges will be requesting books with all the new changes. I order those books, I take care of those books, as well as the county attorney, I believe, has a law subscription that's paid out of there. Those are funds that are collected in court fines and fees dedicated for specifically the law library.
Okay. Anything else about Fund 18, County Law Library? Okay, then we move on from that to District Clerk's Tech Fund,
44.
The tech fund,
44.
I use the funds out of there. My jury, I have to upload a wheel every year. I have to pay that. I pay part of that out of the jury line item as well as my district clerk tech fund. It costs, Tyler Technology charges me to pull all that information from voter registration to upload the wheel for a new jury wheel each year. And it averages around $5,000 a year, and I split it between the jury itself and my tech fund to pay for it. And that's for the entire county, so really should go under the jury fund and not out of my fund, but I'm splitting the money because I have it available in both. And it is a dedicated fund as well.
Very good. Anything else from Ms. Lyons? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. May we be excused? We have court upstairs.
Yes, you do.
Thank
You may.
you.
Okay, I'm trying to keep these in order. Unclaimed capital credits, back up towards the top. We need to get you up there anyway.
This is just Fund 49, and this is where we receive money from the state comptroller. You've recently approved the latest ask from them. We've got revenues at $30,000 coming in. We use it to fund the Economic Development Corporation here in town, or partial.
Very good.
Nothing new.
I kind of like nothing new. So now we go to Election Services, Department 402. Get back here. You're going to be up there a while, I think.
Yes, sir. Morning, how are y'all?
Morning.
I'm going to 403 or 402.
402, I think.
402 is election services, is what he spoke of.
Got to do them both anyway.
402. Proceed.
All right, the first item I have is the judges and clerks. These are the election workers. We'll need election workers for the Constitution Amendment election, for early voting, election day, and early voting. The first week of early voting, our hours are, for the workers, are 7:30 to 7:30 in the morning until 6:30 in the evening, approximately. And then the legislation, we have to be open for all day Saturday, which is a 12-hour day plus time before and after to close. And then the second week, they have us open from 7 to 7, so there's 6:30 to 7:30, so there's 15 hours days there. So, need to, increase their pay. And plus, then next year, we have the runoff and the primary. And, the county pays the early voting, workers for the primary and the runoff and that. In the constitutional amendment election in November, the county pays all of it. And then those hours are the same next year for the primary, and the runoff election is only a week, but it's 7 to 7 hours in that. And so I'm asking to increase that $5,000 for, because of all the workers that we'll have to have for those dates and that.
Okay,
Then the next line item I have is part-time salary. We have before in past years had a person that has worked part-time for us who helps train all these workers to give this, with my staff getting mail ballots ready and getting everything ready for the election. She helps do the training, helps them with their training, and does the training for election workers. And then she also assists in getting the mail ballot kits in that ready for all of the elections, the constitutional in November, and then the primary runoff, and then city and school in May for that. And this year I didn't have as much, we used a little part-time, but we of course only had the May election for this one. So that's why I'm asking for $9,000 in that line item. The next expense is the ballot expense. It's just the prices increase for the paper ballots, sample ballots, mail ballot kits, and all this, that is supplies for the election and that. And then postage, it's going up this July, and it'll probably go up again next year, and mail ballots is a cost that we have to front in that, and those are expensive to mail the packets out. And if a voter requests an application, they call us, we have to mail the application to them and that. The software maintenance, that's a 4% annual increase on the election equipment that they have. That line item did decrease because the poll pads were in it, and that went over to the tax office.
okay.
And then, of course, the big ticket item is the capital outlay for the new election equipment. We have to have, if a person votes on an electronic machine, they vote on it, and then they put a piece of paper in it. It prints their selection out, and then they take that paper to the scanner, and they can put that into the scanner, and then there's a paper ballot for that electronic ballot now. And that has to be in place by September 1st of '26.
And Nadine, help me here, that way, no matter how people vote, we have a paper trail.
Correct, yes, sir. When there's a partial manual count now, it's only the paper ballots that are counted. And so this makes a paper ballot, so that will also be counted in that partial manual count. Or if a candidate requests a recount, then there's a paper for it to be recounted too. Besides, instead of having to print it off of the electronic, it will already be, and that is what is actually counted. They're just voting on the machine.
So now we're 100% auditable. on
Yes,
elections.
correct, yes, sir.
Name of the machines now?
This is from Hart, and they're called, oh man, I forgot what this system's called. But it's through the Hart Intercivic election. Voting machines,
Yeah,
yes, sir.
the way this is printed out, will the voter be able to see what they voted?
Yes, sir,
on the-
yes, sir.
okay.
They'll see it on the screen, confirm it on the screen, put the piece of the paper in there, they'll print it out, and they can look at it again to make sure that's exactly how they voted. And then they
Perfect.
put it in the scanner.
That's great.
If you don't mind, let's say for some reason, the printout is different than what they saw on the screen. They go can that immediately be fixed?
Yes, sir, that would be called a spoiled ballot.
Okay.
If they see that, oh, I didn't mean to vote for candidate A, I meant for candidate C to have the vote, then they would spoil it, just like they would do a regular ballot if they marked the wrong
Okay.
person on a regular ballot with a pen. It's called a spoiled ballot. They get 3 chances to correct that.
And then you're out.
Yes, sir.
Do you see this immediate reconciliation changing your end-of-day process, which was long during elections, where you would all go through and try to reconcile?
It's still the same reconciliation in that it would be this.
And this machine cost, we'd expect this every 5 years, like the age of a laptop?
No, we just now paid this other equipment off this year or last year. And we got that in 2018.
Okay.
Good.
But the legislation also changed to make, it all paper ballots too, so that's why,
Yeah, we have to do this, understanding. But yeah, I was wondering, like, wow, that's a 42% increase in your budget, now I know why.
Yeah.
Thank you.
yeah.
Exactly.
Sorry.
And while we're talking about elections, I went and took the election training last year. So insightful to see how it really works. So if you get a chance, I highly recommend you do it.
I think Commissioner Paces should do that.
He did. He was there.
No doubt.
Okay.
This fixes a lot of problems.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes,
and we talked about this a year ago, because I thought it was gonna be for this past year, remember? I came and asked you about it, and you said, no, it's not till the next year.
Yes, sir.
I wish you had had it in the budget before I was on here. But, thank you very much, and
Yes,
I
sir.
really appreciate the way that you did your summary on everything.
thank you.
That was very helpful.
Thank you.
Okay, now let's flip over to Fund 12, Election Services. This is pretty perfunctory.
Okay, Fund 12 is, I'm asking for an increase for employee training to send the employees to conferences and to election training so that they can have more knowledge of all the laws and all the different insights into elections. This is money I get from when we contract out to the city of Kerrville to any of the entities and the primary, we contract with them too, and with the state, and we get 10% of that in that election cost there, and that's what goes into there.
Where do they typically have to go for training?
Austin, Round Rock, and then there's a Texas Elections Organization, and they go from South Padre to Amarillo,
Okay,
all over, and that.
very good.
Okay, then, your records management is,
That one needs to come out, Judge, that's an old department, 404.
Okay,
okay,
Fund 42.
okay, so the next one then is what?
There's 42, which is the tech fund, and it's staying the same.
Okay,
Okay,
And then 43, it's a dedicated fund that I get money into, and I would like to increase it $6,000 to do older books to preserve them and that, and I have enough to go in that fund to go up to to add 6,000 to that fund, or that line item, sorry.
okay. Fund 43, that's record management, court record preservation.
Yes, sir.
And the next one is record management and preservation.
That's 28, there's nothing in Fund 28,
Okay.
leaving it the same.
makes
That's
that one
good.
easy.
Now go to records management.
That's Fund 41, and the money is really all staying the same, it's just the software maintenance, the fiddler that we pay, those bills were being paid out of different line items and different funds, and I would like to put them all in one fund to keep a better track of them in that. And then the operating equipment is the yearly annual license, it's not, none of the money's going up, it's all staying the same.
Okay. Any questions? Okay. Let's see.
also has number 403 back under the Shrine Lake
We go back to 403. Which is and where is that on our agenda? What do we call it?
The county clerk.
403, yeah, county clerk.
Okay.
This is the sixth one down.
Yeah, we skipped it. We went to 402 right off the bat. We should have started probably with 403.
Okay. Any questions?
So in the
How many open positions do you have in your office right now?
15, I believe.
Open?
No, I have two open in this budget, in the 403.
Okay.
So in this part-time salary that I'd like to put in there, when the former county clerk, changed, programs from EDOT to Fiddler, the documentation and the property description ended up in being in an unsearchable field, meaning the public can't search by a property description. They can only search by owner's name. And there's approximately 365,000 documents out there that need to be reviewed, and it goes back to 1986. The land department works on it when they have time, but at that current rate, it would take them many, many, many years to even complete the project. I would like to get a part-time person in there, and that's all that person does. They don't help land, they don't help county court at law or the fronter. They're dedicated to indexing this by property description. Fiddler, the company that we had the land records department with, they can do it, but it's a very, very high ticket.
Yep.
And that. This is the one way I think we could do it at a lower cost in that.
Well, $500,000.
Yeah.
We'd have to add a line there.
So then the next line item I have is employee training, and of course, increase of the mileage and per diems going up, and again, employees using their own vehicle to travel to these. And I would like to try to send 2 or 3 possibly in the office to these conferences so that they talk about pretty much the whole county clerk's office. So having one in probate and county court at law, they could go together and learn more of the office in that. And so I'd like to be able to send more there so I'd like to increase that by $1,000, just to get those employees more knowledgeable of the county clerk so they're more valuable to the clerk's office.
Is it gonna be easier for you to hire a part-time employee for that? I hate to go backwards.
No.
Than it is to fill one of the 2 vacancies?
Well, the 2 vacancies, one is in land records. That would be, that's the department is supposed to be 3 people. And the other one is a civil clerk that could help in county court at law and probate and that.
Okay.
How are you currently managing the inland records, understanding that was difficult when she left?
We're managing it. I mean, the 2 that are in there are handling it very well right now. But I mean, this is, I don't know, they have 60 or 70 documents a day that they file. And so they have to do that and plus help the people. I mean, they're handling it, but the third person will definitely help them.
But we need to fill that open position.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right.
I understand. Any other questions?
Then there's the postage, of course, that's increasing. And then the conference for myself, because I too have to get certain amount of hours in that. And then the probate seminar is just for probate and mental health, and we have two people that one is in mental health and one's in probate, and they're trying to back each other up, and plus then send another person in case one of those is out, vacation or sick or something, so they can pick up where they are and have some knowledge of what happens in probate and mental health and that.
And those particular employees have the unfortunate prospect of having to work with me. 'Cause I did
Hazard pay.
mental health and the city judge, no better. Well, there are good days. Okay,
I believe that's all I have unless you'll have something for me.
Escape while you can.
did we do Fund 41? The record archival? I don't think that's,
We did it.
we did?
Oh, we did that one.
Okay, good.
Yes,
Been checking it off.
yes.
Anything else from you?
No, sir, thank you.
Okay.
May we be excused.
You may be excused.
Thank
Run
you.
while you
Run,
can run,
run.
yeah.
Okay, it's a little after 10. Why don't we take a 5-minute break and come back?
So have you had anybody that's had to work with you that you've had to go work with over at MHDD later?
The donations we got this year for it, since we kind of held off on putting the Space Force emblem on there, just did not look right. We need to come up with a better plan. Some of that money that we put into our general fund, that needs to be moved over if the War Memorial line item gets created. And also, Sherman and Sherman LLC, who did the engraving, they also gave us a discount on top of that. So it was actually less than we thought it was going to be. So that's something new I would like to add. I don't see it's something we're gonna consistently request an increase for, but we do have a very generous population, and I would love to actually put their money aside for that. And then that's easy to keep a hold of versus a general fund. The other thing that I would like to ask for an increase in is $1,500 for our veterans activities. We do spend quite a lot for Memorial Day preparation. It's I mean, it's good. It's
And
getting bigger and bigger.
It showed.
Oh, thank you.
It showed.
Thank you. So that's, I can go into more detail if you want, if you're kind of wondering what the money goes for, but it's with us we got new ice chests so we could put more water out. The pop-up tents, we have the silicone wristbands, the poppies, the flag pins, we have the Gold Star wristbands, the programs, the decorations, we strive to improve it every year, so as more and more ideas come up, I mean, we just,
And you did.
Thank
It's
you.
the best to date, without a doubt.
thank you.
What about the parade, Veterans Day parade?
So I'm very fortunate to where our office does nothing with the parade. We will be an advocate for it and we can participate in it. But as far as us doing any funds or leading it, I'm very grateful for whoever is in charge of it. We prep for Memorial Day starting in October, and that's just for an hour. I couldn't imagine doing a parade. So, but we are all about helping anybody who needs the help. We just don't want to be in charge of it. So Veterans Day, we normally don't do anything because there's so much that's going around. But this year, since we're hoping to have our building dedication ceremony for Allie Burton, we're trying to make it as special as we can. So we can focus on that right now. So there's some things we have some ideas about that we'll get with Commissioner Holt and see. So because I've never actually been to a building dedication ceremony before with somebody with his history is just very touching, and I'm looking very forward to it, and I really want to make it a special day, not just for him, but for our whole community. So, so that's me asking for that. And then, of course, the other thing, and this is mostly for Toner, I would like to request an increase of $1,500 for office supplies. I was a little smarter this year. We do folders that we hand out to everybody who comes and sees our office. So instead of printing them individually, we went to So Fast Printing. So that saved money, but it was such a success that we'll probably do that. But toner's just expensive, and we do have a lot of veterans who do not do anything through email. And there's some things we need to print for them. There's some things that we need to mail it to them because we cannot get a hold of them, and to give them updates. So it's just for that. We try to do as much as we can electronically, but that's just not feasible for every single person. And I think that's it.
Okay, any questions?
No, I understand the future Veterans Day is a little bit different. We'll put together a letter of instruction. I'll grab one from a previous command I was with that had done several of those. And so it's befitting the opportunity that we have with Allie Burton. So more to follow on that.
And we
I didn't see any fund line on that, speaking to the budget.
I'll probably use our veterans activities for that. I will make it work. I'm very good at holding out as much as I can until I absolutely need to do that. We try to become creative with our stuff, but we will make it happen. The other thing is we did our benefits fair last year. We're not doing it this year, but we were probably going to do it next year. It was a very huge success, and we've had a lot of people keep asking us if we're having one this year, and we told them no. It's a lot of work for just 2 people, but we're going to start probably planning this September for next September.
We have
And
people all over
so,
the state.
come to the benefits fair?
And we had about 500 people show up last year, and we had people travel as far as like 3.5 hours away that came to attend it. It was very successful.
Yeah, it's tough to understand your benefits and what's there and what you're missing out on. As
We-
one who uses it, it is challenging.
And we
so
do get
appreciate
a lot of, get a lot of people who think we work for the VA, and we tell them, no, we do not work for the VA. We're county employees, and we fight for you. We fight for you as much as we can. That's what our job is. But a lot of people also think, we're a little bit like a salesperson. Oh, we see you're a veteran. Are you getting your benefits? Yes, I'm enrolled at the VA healthcare. No, that's healthcare. That is completely different than benefits. Just like burial. People just don't understand that. And that's okay. That's what we're here for. And we want to get the word out and do as much as we can.
Awesome, thank you.
I had just a general comment. We've had several people on the toner issues. If I go buy toner, it costs me $400 to get a whole new set of cartridges, but I've been buying that stuff online for $50 or $60 for all 4 cartridges. Just an idea, I mean, through Amazon.
I tried that, and my printer is smart enough to say, "Oh, this is fake. I won't recognize it, and it will
Really?
not accept it." I did try that.
I was just curious, I don't wanna change what you do. but
No, I really thought I was smart.
We
I
need
got them
dumber
on
equipment
sale, and it doesn't have that little chip because it's Brother, and it will not recognize it. I tried to
See,
trick
mine
it.
are Brother, but the ones I use
Yeah.
are Brother too, that's weird.
I tried really hard. Not tech savvy. Chase tried. He's very tech savvy. Got IT to try.
We need a good IT person.
They're Brother Smart, it just knows that it's not their brand and it will not accept it. It'll
That's
just tell
weird.
me it's empty. And
Well, I don't-
I shake it and everything.
I don't
Might
think I
ask
wanna
you to
upgrade my
Step up and
printers.
comment on that, because our strategy for toners and printers and all that, and GS versus DS, you know,
So-
or general support.
Specifically talking toner and ink on pretty much any device these days, they are manufacturer specific. Yes, 5 years ago, you probably could have went to Amazon on a regular basis and replaced your toners and cartridges. That is no longer the case. The only brand that I'm aware of that has any way of doing a self-refill are the Epson ink tank printers.
We use ink,
We're
yeah.
not going that way at all. Anything, I think, with a new chip in any of the printers and multifunction devices, they all require very specific devices for their machines. So, yes, that was the case a few years ago.
You're making my printer, my copier seem old. And
Unfortunately, I got
Yeah.
two printers at home. When it comes time to replace the cartridges, I'm going to buy brand new machines, just because it's actually cheaper to buy them that way for the home
Yeah.
use.
What's your guidance on cost-effective strategy for printing overall for our county?
Not
Is
to
there,
put you on
is
the
there, is
spot,
there, is
but-
there a number, is there a number where we should be going to so fast before it becomes,
That's a longer term study based on department. County, to answer your kind of question, the countywide, we are undergoing a countywide assessment on our printers and multifunction devices.
Yeah, I'm tracking.
I've got 2 vendors already on the hook for numbers. I'm waiting for a third. Actually, I got a call tomorrow with a third vendor, just to kind of see how we can do it. Based on the preliminary studies, I do want to put all those under my umbrella to get it under one contract for efficiencies, for replacements and maintenance and all that kind of stuff, to kind of just streamline the entire process. Based on the current contract structures per department, that's probably gonna have to wait until FY '27, because a lot of the contracts are relatively new and had just been signed, and most vendors that I have seen or worked with will not try to absorb those contracts until they're like midway through the contracts.
Okay.
So I'm prepared for that discussion for probably the next fiscal year. I don't see it happening now. I don't have the numbers in my budget to even really talk smartly on what that looks like. So I can't really answer that question directly at this
Fair
point.
enough. Thank you.
It may be useful to let department heads and electeds know if between now and 27, if they're going to have a contract renewal come up, it may be worth holding off. I'm not sure.
You may have just told them.
If I get them, usually an elected or department head will send me a copy of their contract or they'll send it to Jody
Right.
and Jody will send it to me. Maybe I'll give you a heads up if those come through also.
Okay,
Any questions for me?
anything else for veterans?
No, and great job. I haven't told you, but great job.
Thank you.
That was awesome.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Information technology. And that's gonna be
408.
408.
Good morning again. This is probably not going to be an easy discussion, considering the amount of increase that I have projected. I really did try to tighten this up as I had reviewed all of my expenditures over the course of this last year. And my initial look, based on inflation and everything else, was actually closer to a 17% increase, with the largest piece of that actually being the move to the software as a service for Navigator. That was a big jump that we had to take. And that you'll see in the line item 408,500 for software maintenance. That's where a good portion of that increase is.
Yeah.
Another add to actually that particular line item is the mobile CAD and RMS services for the sheriff's department for their cars. The initial install for that for the coming fiscal year is a $100,000 install with annual services of $20,000 per year after. And the reason why it's stuck into my budget is for the fact that we have to install a communication server for that. So it kind of touches, in a roundabout way, it touches our network and our equipment, our on-prem stuff, so that way it can get actually broadcast out to the car. So that's why it's tucked into my line item. Also under the software maintenance line item, the 500, buried deep in my notes, I've got a line item there for the Office 365 migration. This year, the way we've got it fragged out for the initial push is that it's going to be funded through ARPA funds. So we've got a significant amount of dollars set aside just for the migration and the usage going into the next fiscal year, and then follow on, I'll project that into FY27. Other line items basically stayed within regular inflation, like the telephone line item number 420, projecting a 7% increase, just kind of based off of the historical data that I could find. Everything else stayed relatively flat, other than the capital outlay, the 570 line item. Obviously, that's a huge jump in there. That one really is dictated by the district courts or district judges' asks. $20,000 line item there for paperless courts. So they want to be able to sit at the bench and access the navigator and the dockets on a laptop or a tablet, having fingerprint scanners and signature equipment at the bench. We're kind of following Gillespie County's lead on what they have been doing. They got a head start on that because they've been with Navigator and their software platform for quite some time. I have not yet been able to circle back with Judge Patillo, who was actually up there last week to actually see what they're doing, get hands-on with that. So if their solution matches, that's a $20,000 line item there for the equipment, the screens and stuff that to fit up, outfit the benches. The other line item really in that category, the 570 category, is more of a placeholder really than anything for an upgrade to the AV systems to the district courtrooms, county court of law, and potentially even like the courtroom downstairs. So it's a placeholder looking at the AV systems, what they could cost. I don't have any hard numbers yet. I did actually talk to a vendor last week, and he gave me some ballpark numbers, just kind of as a rough wag. And I think we're in line to at least do 3 courtrooms, maybe even 4, depending on what the requirement is. Now, I haven't had a chance to actually sit down and figure out what the ask is yet. So that's why those line items had jumped as much as they have.
So when the district judges go to, like Judge Patillo goes to Gillespie, he's using a whole different setup?
We're trying not to make that happen. I want to mirror just like with the AV systems in the courtrooms. I
But
want to
it's-
mirror,
But
It's different
used to,
now.
yes,
right now it's different.
Okay.
Yes.
trying not to.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm trying to correct that stuff, and at least, and we've got a good relationship with Gillespie County IT, so we're working together to make sure we mirror systems. So that
Do we have a
when-
similar situation with Bandera?
I have not yet. But Judge McGuire goes to Bandera,
Right.
so hopefully we can match all three counties. That's the end goal. And I do have a good relationship with the IT department there in Bandera as well. So we work pretty well together in a lot of different avenues.
Corey, on this capital outlay, I mean, is this a recurring event every 3 years, 4 years?
I'm hoping not, honestly.
Okay.
However,
That's the answer I was hoping for.
However, I will expand on that a little bit in that the largest portions outside of what the district judges ask is for disaster recovery and computer replacements. That will be a continual, I mean, we have to. Industry standard
understand.
actually is a 3-year thing. I'm forecasting out for a 5-year replacement to kind of help with that bill. But, you know, we have to have a line item in there for disaster recovery, server maintenance. You know, we just put in 2 servers last September, and it was 130 grand just to get that installed. So part of that is disaster preparedness. You know, say if our primary location goes down, we can flip the switch and go over to our disaster recovery location, flip that switch within a matter of 36 hours, and we'll be back up and running. We actually had a really good day yesterday with our backup recovery system. We were able to test not just the backup, but also the recovery piece of it. So up until yesterday, there was some questions and some glitches in that process. We actually had a really good day yesterday. It took a lot of stresses off, but yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. And I was going to talk a little bit on salary, just
I
because.
was wondering when that was coming up.
Yeah, I have not had a chance to look at the salaries study that came out. You told me to prove it last year. I think my staff really deserves a ton of credit and a bunch of kudos, because we are branching out into every department. We got fingers everywhere, and the kudos that I get back from department heads on what my staff is doing is constant. And I think we have more than proved what we can do, especially when we talk about the new AV systems and just the different stuff that we get involved with. A lot of the stuff is very new. The audiovisual career field itself is a separate thing. I have 2 guys on my staff that are very, very capable of working that. That's not part of their job. You know, what we broadcast on YouTube and having other court agencies come in to facilitate that, you know,
You are doing a great job. You really are.
But
And you're
without-
doing what we hired you to do, and appreciate it. I mean,
thank you, sir.
With IT, isn't it going to constantly be evolving and changing?
We are. And so
So, I mean, I'm just saying, because I would think that's part of the job, and y'all do a great job.
we are. And-
But it seems to me just the nature of IT and the evolution of it is gonna be,
Yes, and one of the things that I focused on this year was getting to the different training conferences and technology conferences that are in the surrounding area. I went to those myself specifically to figure out where it's best to send my guys to go as well, to get that advanced training, talk with the new vendors and figuring out how we can be more sufficient, you know, and reduce our footprint while expanding our availability, you know, and we are coming up with a pretty solid plan in the background of how we can make things more efficient, test and validate the recovery processes, but also build a cold storage location to where we can put data on a weekly or monthly basis that will forever be there, and it's in a location where only we have access to. So we turn on the machine once a month, boom, we load it with new data, we shut it off, we unplug it, it's secure, nobody has access to it. So we're building those things, and we're doing that with stuff that we actually have in-house. It's a graduated process. How do we get there? And that might be still another 2 or 3 years to go. But we're pointed in the right direction, and I'm really proud of the way my team has really handled all of the different taskings that have come across our desk, because they come from all over the place.
Yeah. That'll be conferences I'll never attend.
They are actually quite entertaining. In fact, actually last week was with the technology conference, the AI part of it was really, really eye-opening, and trying to figure out how to be effective with it.
Right.
Okay, anything else for IT? Thank you. Okay, let's move on to the JPs. JP one is Department 455. Right, and I think all of them are.
Yeah. Nobody's important.
Okay, JP Tech Fund.
It's what?
JP Tech Fund.
26.
Fund 26.
Yeah.
This is dedicated money that comes into this fund, and we're expecting about 5,200. They've got, as an expenditure, 9,800. There's no changes from the prior year.
Okay. 2015 jail bond.
Yes, that's Fund 61. Judge, that needs to go on hold. Those are the bonds we just voted to refund
Okay.
yesterday, so that will be changing for next year.
Okay. Then we've got the TWDB EKCP construction COs.
Yes, that's Fund 62. That's all for the wastewater program that we've been upgrading for the last, I don't know, 10
Forever.
years,
Forever.
it seems like, yeah. And we're down, I believe, to Phase 4 now. So this is the debt that we've incurred with that project. Next year, we're looking at spending in total about $642,000 for the debt service. But we do receive $135,000 from user fees. It's being collected by the Kendall County Water District,
Right.
I think it is.
Yeah. Okay. 2024 limited tax bonds.
Yes, that is Fund 64. So looking at next year, we're going to spend about $418,000 on the debt service.
Okay, that is what it is.
Yes.
Tax notes.
Yes, that's Fund 65. So before yesterday's debt obligation, we were going to spend $856,000. And so that amount will go up before y'all actually budget, because the new debt is not in here.
Right. Okay. And the 2020 refunding bonds.
Yes. So these bonds, we're expecting to spend about $600,000 next year.
And that's tab 67.
Yes.
And then Lake Ingram Estates Road District.
Yes,
63.
so this only accounts for the Lake Ingram Estate District's debt that they have, and so this is only for the people that live in that subdivision.
Right.
And so next year's debt is projected to be $23,835.
And that is what it is.
Yes, and there's a different, y'all will be voting on a different tax rate for Lake Ingram. That will be something that Bob will bring at a later date.
Yeah.
Okay.
As a new guy, I have to ask, how did that come about? Where we were doing that for?
I believe when we took over the roads, I wish Bob was here, when we took over the roads, we had to take over that debt, but all we're doing is kind of overseeing
Managing.
the debt.
It was a road district deal that got passed. Very few of them do.
Right, that's why it's.
And, you know, you're gonna have people come to you and say, hey, we'd love the county to take over this road. And then, you know, there's a process to have it done, and usually not all the landowners get or agree with it, and it doesn't go any further.
Right.
Obviously, this one did.
Okay.
Yeah, because they've got to have it up to our code
That's right.
to begin with.
And
Right.
so it's like a 20-year deal, that they agree to pay a little bit each year for 20 years, but as soon as it passes, the county takes over immediately, maintaining the roads.
Right.
And, you know, Kelly could probably explain it a lot better, or Charlie, but that's the snapshot.
Thank you.
Okay. I think that concludes our agenda for today. Oh. We've done we did the salary study and everything else on this other, the initial agenda. So with that, we will stand adjourned.